This is nearly the end of the story. Or perhaps a better thing to say at this point would be, those are the facts to date so far as I know. It sounds a big claim when you write it down. My story would barely take up an afternoon. Yeshua taught in stories through countless bright mornings and baking afternoons and cool evenings. But about his teaching I make no apology. What I heard and have passed on is a broken fragment from a huge jar, lost and buried. If you have time and patience, the jar in all its glory can be inferred from the curves and imprints of the fragment. I did not see everything that happened, though. Only a small part of what I have written derives from my own experience, and those events were many years ago when I was little more than a child. The rest is other people's experiences told and retold. I've tried to capture everything in what I believe to be its most reliable form. Earlier I told a tale of Yeshua feeding 5,000 people and one of him feeding 4,000 people, because that is how the story goes as I have heard it. Nonetheless, I suspect myself of being selective, and sometimes I've been unable to resist comment. I must also be guilty of colouring what I have been told. One cannot do justice to a story without colour. It's therefore misleading to talk about the story. What you have heard is many, many stories passed through many, many mouths and reordered by me. And after all that, it is also misleading to talk about facts. I believe everything I have set out is factually true, more or less, otherwise I would not have written it. But ultimately I must allow you to be the jury and decide. The reason I'm drawn today to say those are the facts is to distinguish what I have told so far from what I will tell tomorrow. However strange and disjointed the events I have described may be, however implausible perhaps in places, they can nonetheless be understood in the language and framework of this world. I can say they are things that were seen or heard or smelled or tasted or touched, and you can accept them or reject them. They are either facts or they are not. I find it difficult to think of what will follow in those terms. There is a word I have not used here, truth. Yeshua used it frequently. I have not used it because I believe of all words it must be handled carefully. It is frail and slippery as a soap bubble. I could say that both what I have written so far and what will follow tomorrow is true. That might mean that my belief in what I have written is so strong that nothing in argument or science will persuade me I am wrong. That type of belief is dangerous, especially if others can be persuaded to share it. Or a distinction between truth and fact can be a semantic trick, setting up a truth which cannot be proved and therefore need not be proved, a truth which becomes the opposite of fact. That is dangerous too. I have come to believe in writing this story that we should only use the word truth to describe things that underpin what we are and why we are. I believe that truth has a different essence or substance from belief or fact. Truth is open to argument, engages with science, inheres in fact. We need never fear for truth or protect it. Only belief short of truth can be marked or shaped by other substances. Truth is not easy. Truth is often obscure and elusive, but sometimes, to our surprise, truth is dazzlingly obvious.